All
Hello.
right, you're live.
Hello.
There's
Can you
this
hear me?
whole welcome. It's 5 o'clock. Welcome to Whose Opinion Is It Anyway? Did you see there's like this whole opening now with clips from us having to be at
Uh,
home? And because
I see.
you
we
saw
got
your
high tech. Paul is high tech.
Paul has gotten real fancy on us with all of these clips and everything. So
No
it
doubt.
seems
You fancy, huh?
it just seems like it was Friday all over again. It seems like it was just Friday. How was your week?
Crazy, man. Crazy. Right. Here's the question I got for you guys, right? You know, I thought that we experienced something during 9/11, right? Remember the question at that time was, what will the post 9/11 world look like, right?
Right.
So now we have a similar question concerning the post COVID-19 world. What will the post COVID-19 world look like? Don't answer too quickly now. Ponder deeply over this, Candace, Mike. What will this world look like? What you think?
I think it's going to take some time for us to even be able to see or know that, because I believe that there is going to be, because of how hastily things are being handled and because of how unorganized we are with it in this country. I don't, and everybody keeps saying a second wave. I don't think it's going to be a second wave. I think it's going to be the first wave finishing itself out.
Okay.
And I just think that this impact is going to go far beyond what anybody can even fathom, for the simple fact that, one, people can't even sit down for 2 seconds to get an answer. Two,
power on. Bluetooth pairing. Bluetooth connected.
Okay, and then two, you have all of these. Just, I think that one of the things that will go a long way, especially now with what's going on, is if you had elected officials and those in charge just being honest. And the honest answer is, this is something that's unprecedented. We've never seen it before. We're not sure how to handle it. We're trying to figure this out as we go along. We need you to be patient. But instead, because our country is run by businessmen, because our country is a corporation, it's just get back to work, get back to work, get back to work. The economy. And it's crazy to me. And it's like, how will your economy stand if, half your population is dead? Or how will your economy stand if half your population is dead and the other half is sick? This makes no sense.
Absolutely. And Candace, you know what? With that, you sent me a story, a link earlier today regarding that, where that even if we experience a second wind or go around of this virus, that he's not going to shut the country down, period.
He said that, but I mean, he didn't shut it down this time, though. It was not shut down this time.
But what does that say to you, though, right?
It says,
are we collateral damage? Right?
It says exactly what I just told you. It says we live in a corporation run by businessmen, and all they know is the bottom line and the bottom dollar. You not being at work is messing up my money. I think that this opens up the door to something that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Call it conspiracy theory or whatever you want to call it, but this opens up the door to the fact that I feel like they're going to try to figure out how to make get more labor out of machines. It's like people are flawed, people get sick, and so as far as they're concerned, they're going to try to figure out how to make people obsolete so that their bottom dollar is not affected.
It might expedite that, Candace. It might expedite that because we were headed in that direction already.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I think you're right. It's going to expedite that, Mike.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. We've all listen. I work in the automotive industry. I can tell you right now that has been going on for a while, and this is why people have to start doing what you're doing, Brother Vic. Becoming professors. Our mind needs to be used. And if we're not educating people, what are we moving towards? You're either going to be labor, which is going to go away to some extent, or you're going to be using your mind. And if we're not getting education, we won't be using our minds. Or you'll be losing your mind, and you'll be part of the labor force, even if you have half a mind, like our president.
Right. And Paul, I'm just trying to find the link on Facebook so that I can share it on Facebook. So if you can send it to me, share it with me, whatever, put it on my Facebook page so that I can see it. But I think that what you're saying is very important, because even in the industry that I work in, I've noticed that when you go to news stations, a lot of it is ran by cameras. You literally have, there are no more You don't necessarily have the producers right there on set anymore. You don't have the cameramen running the cameras. These cameras are robotic and they're running themselves. And there's usually like 3 or 4 cameras, and they move around and do everything for themselves. And you literally have either just the 1 or 2 reporters that are in the room at the time with cameras.
So you're talking about AI, yeah, so, in the news industry?
Yeah, and so then even with like here locally, a lot of that stuff has been outsourced, whereas you had people in an audio room and all of that, that's been outsourced to happen somewhere else. So it's literally just the reporter and a few cameras in a room giving you the news. It's not that hustle and bustle that you saw back in the day when you would take field trips to the news station. That doesn't exist anymore. And so, like Mike said, even in the auto industry, they're trying to. I think we're looking at a time where they're slowly going to look to make people obsolete, because one thing the pandemic has revealed is the flaws in human labor. And so, because they weren't ready for human labor to go down yet, the corporation needs you to get back to work.
Let me give another.
Hold on. People are obsolete. What will that society look like? So are you segueing into the conspiracy theory that says that there's a plan to depopulate the world? No,
all right, let me say this. So let's talk. I want to get jump. I'm not going to be a racist, but I'm going to talk about racism. So you can't do that just yet.
What's that?
Part of this problem, and I've seen it in many workplaces, but particularly where I work at, you can't put a bunch of white men on the streets and have them doing nothing. You can't do it, because their job is their worth. And so you have to make sure they're working. See, part of this, we think it's about the corporations, but it's also a part of my worth is my work.
Okay.
And if I don't have my work, I'm going to lose my wife, my car, my house, my everything. See, Black people, we've dealt with that. We've lost a whole bunch. We don't put, some of us put our worth we may put it in our car, but we don't put it working at the car dealership and what our jobs are. And so you can't have a bunch of white brothers walking around with weapons and guns and no job. You're going to have some killings, some murders. So they don't get rid of all the jobs just yet. Don't worry about that. There's still going to be plenty of work for people to perform, because they ain't going to let you go out here and not have these white brothers not working. That is a recipe for disaster and anarchy. And you see what's happening in just a short period of time when they're not working. They are out there up at the state capitol with weapons and guns and everything else. They're not going to let this go on too long. Believe that. And it is some of the corporations. You've got to keep the slave force working. This is a fight. We can go back to the Civil War about our country. You can go back to the founding of this country. There were people here who were penal colonies, basically, of Great Britain. We were workers, and we rose up against the elite class. And
I want to acknowledge, first of all, hello to all of our Facebook viewers. Thank you for joining us. Jeff had a few comments here of where he said, how will our economy stand if half the jobs are gone? Then he also says he can't just shut it down. He said automation will get a boost, but plenty of shares in companies who are experts in building, scaling out large systems and platforms. Then he also said he's right. So Mike, I think he meant that you were right when you were saying you can't just have them out here without jobs. Michelle said they have written many books about it, not depopulation. Technology has taken the place of human effort.
Exactly.
I'm just trying to tell you, where they can get rid of human labor, they will. I do agree, Mike, that they'll probably have little segments there, and most people are content with working factory jobs. Most people will go do that because it still gives them a sense of worth and still makes them feel like they're earning something.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure that they'll have you in there building the machines that they're slowly replacing you with, if that makes you feel better.
And there are plenty of jobs now that rely on what's called a sale. So you work with several different aspects of that job. You run a machine basically, and that machine does the assembly and things of that nature. So you'll find jobs in that regard. Right. Even when talking about things like maybe even teaching or going forward with other jobs in the kitchen and doing other things, they are becoming fully automated. McDonald's is more automated now than it was 10 years ago. Yeah. And you can do the same jobs at restaurants that you with less people.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that.
Michelle said, and Vic, you might know this book. It's called "Thank You for Being Late" by Thomas L. Friedman. It was published in 2016.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Thomas,
No, I'm
Thomas
not familiar with
Friedman
that book.
is
I'm
always
familiar with
what's
Thomas
happening.
Friedman, though. Yeah.
Yeah, but if anybody's just joining and they're wondering how we got on this topic, it's because Vic said, "What are we going to look like post
COVID-19?
COVID-19?"
Yeah.
Well, there's going to be a new normal. We're talking about people social distancing. We're talking about communication, just like we're doing here. Normally this would take place in the studio. We'd all be in each other's face, yapping and yapping.
Absolutely.
We can't do
Absolutely.
that even with what we're doing here. And then what happens though too is you become a slave to the technology.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
when you're a slave to the technology, now everybody is funneled into something.
Mm-hmm.
You're funneled into what your views are. You're funneled into clips instead of the whole enchilada of what's happening. So now we're becoming a clip of ourselves, and people get to comment on the clip of what you just said.
The sound bite, huh?
And it's gonna sound crazy because we literally do a show about opinions and wanting to hear people's opinions. But I think another thing that's gonna happen is people are gonna become more emboldened about their opinions, and they're gonna give their opinions unsolicited where it's not needed or wanted, and then this is gonna make people feel like their opinion matters in certain areas where it might not. And I say this lightly because again, the name of the show is called "Whose Opinion Is It Anyway?" And so let's be clear that the internet has made people feel like their opinion matters already. And so
you know, I don't care about Brother Vic's opinion anytime, but you know, I got to listen to it now. So I agree with you.
Say what? Say what? But see, that's the point, though, folks. We're at a place now in American society where America has become very binary. We're extremely divisive, right? And we're at the place, particularly in the political domain, where we're not going to have any civil conversation because civil conversation does not take place right now anyway, right? So the question is, how do we get out of this orbit? Or
I don't necessarily agree with the binary option or the binary.
Mike, we're extremely binary, man. There ain't no conversation taking place, particularly one person, the Democrat. We're not having any real dialogue or conversation. We're having arguing matches and whatnot, trying to out-talk one another and so forth. But you're not having Democrats and Republicans sitting down and having a honest, solid, flowing, fruitful dialogue. That's not happening. That's not
I disagree with you in this terminology, only because the binary works for them. For the people that are crazed and totalitarian, the binary aspect works for them. But we still got to deal with our families, and we still got to work things out with your wife and your
kids. But here's the point I'm making, Mike.
And we still got to work
I've seen this, and I'm sure you guys. I've seen this, and I'm sure you guys have seen this too. I've got friends, some of whom are conservative, some are moderate, some are liberal, right, or progressives and so forth. I've seen friendships break up to the place now where people who were once tight, man, they can't stand one another. This has to do. Hear me out now. This has to do with their opinions related to people on the national scene whom they don't even know, right? But at one time,
that's the point I'm saying.
Friends, and I'm seeing that and more so nowadays.
Well, look, we're talking about a new normal, but it's the same old, same old. These people we thought were okay with us, but what's being exposed now is there's a time now for them to feel comfortable with making you uncomfortable. And so we have to get back to a space where, listen, your opinion and your craziness ends at my nose, right? There was a time when you could do that, and there were consequences because of your terrible actions. And now these people are saying, listen, there are no consequences for my terrible actions. I can do what the heck I want to do. And this is the broken window syndrome. The white broken window syndrome. So they just come and throw stones at people, and they see, well, black folks ain't doing nothing, gay people ain't doing nothing, women ain't doing nothing. I can keep throwing stones. Now I'm throwing bricks, and now I keep throwing stuff, and now it becomes binary when people say, wait a minute, I've had enough of this. I'm going to take a knee at a sporting event, and now I become a target, right? So what we have to be careful of is letting that be the norm.
I get that.
Right?
I get that.
That is not the norm. And we got to get back to
but Mike, here's my point. Here's my point. What I'm saying though is that I know cases where people who were true blue friends have fallen out, right? I get what you're saying.
Were they really?
Hear me out. I hear what you're saying. Especially in the political domain, as it relates to the two major parties, which are the Democrats and the Republicans, you certainly have that binary thing working itself out, right? No question about that. It's playing itself out. What I'm saying to you is that within community, within the Black community, among a circle of friends, I've seen this take place in more than one occasion. On many occasions, I've seen this take place, is the point I'm making here, right?
Yeah. Well, I agree with you on that term, but remember, even as Black folks, we're still Americans, right?
Yeah, I get that too. Contextually, we are. I get it. We are Americans. However, Mike,
we're subject
this is leading us to another conversation, right? And
I
believe we need to synthesize the best ideas. My concern is that as far as our community is concerned, we're moving away from that. I'm sorry.
Okay, I need to jump in here and get to some of these Facebook comments. It says that Jeff said, I think that things will return to normal once more is known about this virus and the actual death rates per million. Carl says that the new normal is Trump draining the swamp for 4 more years. Is
he draining the swamp, or is he bringing the swamp to Washington?
The Bible said, who's going to allow everyone, the woman, to speak here, gentlemen? Just said, anytime a company is okay to be working at home, they done figured out how it's to their financial advantage, not yours. And I agree with that, Jeff. I definitely agree with that.
Hey, listen, I tend to agree with what Jeff said, but let me address what Carl said. You're the swamp. Listen, Trump has turned the swamp into a cesspool. That's what he's done. And if you know anything about a swamp, and I'm not from Louisiana, but I love nature. A swamp is actually a natural progression. It's a thing that takes out dirtiness and things like that. A swamp is a needed thing. A swamp turns into a marshland, turns into the ocean, what have you, right? A swamp is something that's around. But a cesspool is something that's made, and it's man-made. He's turning the swamp into a cesspool, Carl, and you don't want to admit that. But we have 4 more years. Let me say this to people like Carl. If we've got 4 more years of Trump, you're going to see a place that you think you recognize it now. You won't recognize this place, Carl. And you might be happy with that because you think it works for you now. But it won't work for you when he turns his guns on you, Carl. That's the problem we got to understand. See, the Trumpists will talk crazy to people like us right now, but they'll turn their guns on you, Carl, pretty soon. He's turned the swamp into a cesspool. But I want to get back to the binary aspect just for a quick minute, and we'll talk about that. Because there used to be a kind of, listen, let's get together. There are some consequences, something silly and something stupid. And that brings me to a guy that I'm still going to vote for so far, is Joe Biden. Joe Biden said something stupid and silly today. And I don't want to knock him necessarily for it, because there was a context in the conversation that he was talking about how Black people put him on the top, how he went into neighborhoods and worked with Black folks. And sometimes we all got white friends like this. They want to identify, and I have no problem with that. And I'm not going to knock my white friends for trying to identify, because at least that's better. Flattery is the best, form of imitation is the best form of flattery. But I'm not going to knock my white friends for doing that. But they just got to understand sometimes, things have to be said in the proper context. And Joe, even though he's been at work for a long time, he still doesn't get the Black pass. Now, not saying he probably shouldn't, because I got a lot of white brothers who do get the pass. And we can get off. And look, we're gonna get into this conversation, but it's about the N-word. And there are white brothers.
Goodness.
Hold on. And I don't get caught on that yet. We'll say that to the end of the show. But when a brother like Joe Biden says what he says, I recognize that he's trying to let people understand. Listen, if you don't vote for me, you voted for Obama. I'm Obama's boy. I'm just like Obama. I got more of the black vote in South Carolina than President Obama did. So if you're aligning yourself, you're saying that's about what being black is about. If you don't vote for me, then you ain't voting for black folks. Now I'm not trying to explain Joe. He was wrong and he's out of line in that. But I do get the understanding that at least the white brother is trying to identify, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Would you say that, Mike? If you run for office, would you say, if you guys don't vote for me, you're not white enough, or Mexican enough, or Arab enough, or Jewish enough?
Black people say it every day. Black people say it every day to each other. Listen,
what?
Wait a minute. Oh my God, we get it with things as simple as basketball. Steph Curry ain't black enough. But Kobe is. LeBron ain't black enough. Jordan ain't black enough.
I didn't say black enough. I said white enough or Mexican enough. If you were running for office, right?
Well, no, listen, nobody does it.
If you were in this position,
you want to talk about how black somebody is, and Joe tried to wade into that without the Tom boots on, and he shouldn't have. You know, listen, and let me say this too. He will be the first, if he moves properly, he will be the first one to nominate a black woman as his vice president.
As VP? Now, Mike, since you brought that topic up, let's talk about this for a second here, right? Because
sure.
He did say that he would nominate a woman, more specifically a black woman, to the Supreme Court, possibly, and he's going to nominate a woman to be his running mate, right? I've heard one political analyst suggest that it's possibly Gretchen Whitmer that may be his best choice, because he has to win also the white female vote. What do you think about that?
Okay, so Gretchen,
he's already got the black vote, Mike, right? So why would he need Stacey Abrams or the sister from California, etc.?
You got to keep the black vote. Millennials like Candace, and I'm leaving a way for her to roll in on a storm with this. Millennials like Candace don't have the wherewithal or the understanding about the Democratic Party that a lot of us older blacks do. And they're like, I don't like what Joe said. He got to earn my vote, and I get that. And so he does have to show some kind of contrition and some kind of a way to make sure that he's keeping black women on board, because they're the ones who kept him afloat. There's no doubt about that. They're the ones who keep the Democratic Party afloat. Mm-hmm. White women do too, but they can be flighty, and 53% of them voted for Trump. And the reason we're in this situation now is because of white women.
There you go. That's my point. That's my point, right? I've heard some analysts make that same point, Mike, and they're saying that it's possible that Gretchen Whitmer may be his optimal choice, because he's already got the black vote, right? He does, he can't coast in. Now he has to still work for it, but he essentially has the black vote locked up, right? But he needs that white female vote also. What do you think about that?
Gretchen Whitmer,
nobody's mentioning the Mexican vote or the Latino vote.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. Gretchen Whitmer, by Detroit proxy, gets the Eminem vote, right? So because Eminem was from Detroit, there was some type of gravitas that came with that. You're legitimately connected to black folks because you're from Detroit. Mm-hmm. So Gretchen gets that automatically because she's from Michigan. Mm-hmm. So she brings along a lot of that white, those black votes, and she's going to bring white sisters along too. Mm-hmm. I'm okay with that in essence, because Gretchen right now is like a sister. She's got a lot of black sisters on staff. I know them personally. They're good people. They're in her ear. She's got a lot of sisters, black sisters, on her staff. She's got a lot of white sisters on her staff, and white brothers too, gay, straight, and otherwise. So it's okay. I'm okay with Gretchen. What I'm saying is whether he goes with what's the former cop and sheriff from Florida.
Yeah. Is it Val? I forget her last name.
Yeah, Val Demings. Or even you go with Kamala Harris, who was my first choice first. I'm cool with either one of them. And I'm cool with Gretchen because, hey, she's from Michigan, right? Mm-hmm. And she gets that.
What about Stacey Abrams?
I like Stacey. I think she's okay. Maybe she hasn't been proven. Let me say this. I don't know if she's been proven politically. Okay. Right? So you got to kind of win some of those things. Now she was taken away from her, but you don't want to bring that person as a VP. But she's an organizer, so she
Yeah.
brings she almost makes Georgia become in play, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's say we lose Wisconsin or Michigan. Now Georgia's in play. You bring in Florida and some of northern Florida and definitely southern Florida with Georgia. You put places like Alabama and North Carolina automatically in play with bringing a black woman on board like Stacey Abrams, who's going to organize the South like you've never seen. But really, do you need her at VP? You need her out in the streets working. You might need her on organizational staff. You need her in the cabinet. And with Kamala Harris or somebody like that. Now, I'm not counting out Elizabeth Warren either. She's grown steadily with black. What's that?
Elizabeth Warren, man, it's like people either love her or hate her.
Yeah, but she brings the Bernie Bros in.
Okay.
She brings the Bernie Bros in. So I mean, this is where we're at with that. But yeah, I don't want to look at it from a point of view of Joe. He's got to get a black woman. I think it would help. It's going to solidify his base. That is his base. And you can't take black. Look, Joe's going to say some things that are stupid between now and then, right? and like black women always do, then he going to need some black women to clean up a white brother's mess.
But since we've been talking about the state of Michigan and Gretchen Whitmer, right? What do you think about what's been going on, the give and take, the to and fro that's been taking place between Trump and Gretchen Whitmer and also the Attorney General? What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, and he jumped on Jocelyn Benson for allowing people to vote. Listen, obviously Trump's got a woman problem, right? He's been married how many times? So he's got a woman problem. So we understand that goes on with Trump. He maintains a woman problem, getting Whitmer in, fighting with Whitmer, but she's fighting back. I think that's the part of it that we don't understand sometimes.
Absolutely.
To see a woman fight back, a white woman fight back like that is new. And she can do that because she's from Michigan. And, you know, this is where we're from, a tough place and a place that believes in speaking your mind. And I think it's okay for her to come in guns a-blazing and going at him. Jocelyn Benson was halfway in the fight, and she created a fight herself. Said, "Listen, I have a name. My name is Jocelyn Benson. Like, I want to fight too." So, I think that's a good thing. The response is great. What she's been doing, the Candace can speak to this more. What she's been doing, fighting this COVID, is commendable. There can always be more. Don't get me wrong. Nobody's perfect, but I think it's commendable.
Candace,
I'm sorry. Candace, can you hear us? Can you hear us?
What's your opinion anyway?
I can hear y'all. Y'all are just over talking today, and I'm like,
we didn't hear you say nothing.
Look, that was y'all last week. That was
right,
especially during the second half of the show.
What's Carl saying now when I talked about the swamp being turned into a cesspool?
Carl hasn't said anything in a while.
Let's put that on a T-shirt. I think that got him. Because he ain't never thought about it that way. Carl, you ain't never thought about that swamp thing like that. I've been saying it for 3 years. Put it on a T-shirt, though.
I do want to go back to something. I want to go back to something that you said because I feel like you got a little off topic there. I want to go back to Joe Biden's comments. Okay. Mike, I feel like you're being real dismissive. And then I
went back. People are going to take snippets out. We were talking about snippets earlier. The snippet, in essence, doesn't sound great.
But this is the thing. This is the thing, though. Mike, it's not a snippet because this, I know the context of the conversation because I sent you the conversation. What I'm saying to you is it doesn't matter of what he said. Like you said, that was dumb. It was dumb.
Yeah.
It's not okay. And my thing is that's part of the problem now is because I think that you all get so overzealous, and by you all I mean whatever age group you're in. I don't know what
right.
But y'all get so overzealous that we want to get rid of Trump. We want to get rid of Trump and trust and believe that a lot of people feel like he has to go. Maybe not Vic, but a lot of people feel like he has to go. And the thing is, though, at the same time, is you don't want to just because you want to get rid of this guy, ignore the stuff this guy said. Wrong is wrong.
All right, so can I respond? All right, so let me say this. And this because I gave you your due as a millennial because I understand the need to put your power fists up as a millennial and say, bust them in the face, you got to earn my vote. And I agree with that to a certain extent. But I've lived long enough and worked with white folks long enough to recognize what I've said, that some of them want to be a part of, want to identify with, want to understand, and they don't know the language. Let me say this.
Fine. And so if he wants to be a part of, wants to identify with, we're going to teach him the language. That's not the language. That's not the language.
Let me say this too. There are a lot of young suburban blacks who've never grown up with us, who don't learn the language either. And so I'm not going to pass either. So I can't. Here's a white brother saying something off kilter. I know a whole bunch of young blacks.
Let me tell you why, in this case, you don't have a point bringing up young suburban black people who didn't grow up with me. Because I didn't mention young suburban black people who didn't grow up with me. I wasn't trying to give them a pass. I was talking about Joe Biden and what he said. There's no pass being given for that.
But the point is, like I said again, two things. I've worked with enough whites in my life who are trying. And I'm not saying Joe should know better. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Listen, what Joe said was wrong and off kilter, but the brother tried. Okay. Now I've worked with enough young blacks who ain't grew up with us, who are off kilter, and sometimes they need to understand because some of them don't deserve a black pass. They're uncomfortable with black people. What's the conservative black woman? What's her name?
You mean Candace's namesake? Candace?
Yeah,
Candace's buddy?
Candace Owen, the other Candace. She does not identify with us, and we'll gladly say that you ain't black if you're not doing what she's doing. And so all the time on different sides. I
just feel like, Mike, and even in your examples, I just feel like you're being a Trumpster with you talking about what I'm not talking about. No, you're not gonna move focus and give all these other examples. The bottom line is this is the opportunity to check him. He keeps having these different gaffes and these different floods. We cannot keep being dismissive of them. I know that you are true blue. Hold up. Okay. I know that you are true blue to your core. So no matter what they do, you're going to defend them. And I'm okay with that. I understand that about you. But what you need to understand about me is right is right, wrong is wrong. I don't care if you're red. I don't care if you're blue. What he said, if Trump would have said that, you'd be having a heart attack right now.
No, wait a minute. Trump said that.
Vic, hold up. Vic, would he not be having a heart attack right now? Trump said that.
There's been Trump supporters who made that comment too. I forget this preacher's name out of Cleveland. He said Trump was the most pro-black president there's ever been.
But what I'm saying to you is, if Trump would have said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black, Mike would have been up and on.
All right, so no, I wouldn't. And well, I would have. But here's the deal.
Yes, you would have.
Let me see this. In 2016, I argued with some of my millennial cousins, and I said, "Look, man, y'all can't vote for Trump." And Trump had told me, like a lot of Trump, like a whole bunch of other people, what do you have to lose? That's like saying, hey, folks, I'm in this, and y'all, what y'all black folks got to lose? That's far worse. And they thought it was okay to vote for Trump because they thought, well, what I got to lose? I'm a millennial. I ain't got nothing to lose. But now you see grandma's life, your mama's life. You can't even go see them now. You can't visit your family. You can't go to work. You got a whole bunch of people. And so worried about a white guy trying to fit in. Let me say this. I've been in plenty of settings with white brothers who are cool with me, white brothers who I've broken bread with, white sisters who don't understand how to really communicate. And it is your job to teach them. But I don't bash them over the head with it. They made a stupid mistake. This is what we got to understand sometimes.
That's not the thing that you have to understand, Mr. Blue to the core, is the fact that we have two candidates that nobody's really excited about either one of them. Start there. Like, let's just be honest. So
are you telling black women in South Carolina they're not excited about Joe Biden?
We have two candidates that nobody's really excited about. I mean, listen.
I disagree with that.
Mike, you know what's crazy? What's crazy is I know you're a Dem, but you keep using Trump tactics right now. I'm telling black women that. I don't care. I said what I said. Absolutely. We have two candidates that nobody is excited about. Literally, the only reason that Joe Biden is going to be, come on now.
All right, hold on. I gotta stop you. Because I want to stop people when they see this Hillary. Nobody likes Hillary. They're not excited about Hillary.
I didn't say nobody liked him. Those were not my words. I said we have candidates that people are not excited about. That's what I said.
I would like to have a beer with Joe Biden. I think he passed the beer test. Let's go get that aside. I think Joe will be great at a party. He gonna say something.
Mike, come on now. You talk to enough people. Hold up. You talk to enough people. Your ear is to the streets enough for you to know, Mike. So you're gonna honestly tell me you don't hear people saying they're not really excited about either candidate? You're really gonna say that, Mike? You really gonna say that right now?
Yeah, Mike. I don't think outside of either one of those guys' bases, outside of Trump's core base and Biden's core base, people are too excited. I don't think so. I agree with Candace on this.
So who were we excited about? Bernie? I wasn't excited about him.
Wait a minute. I didn't say that I was excited about Bernie. I just simply pointed out that these are the two candidates that we have to choose from and nobody's excited. There's no need to go back and revisit who didn't make it. I'm talking about who did make it. Nobody's excited about it. And it's not going to do you any good to go back and try to bash Bernie when the fact is nobody's excited about Biden.
Wait a minute. Listen, one thing about black folks, we have to go, and this I'm not gonna put it on the millennial thing, but this is black folks sometimes. Listen, at some point in time, somebody has to be the adult in the room, and he has to come forward and say, "Listen, y'all, I got some experience with this. I've done this. I've seen this before. Y'all know where I come from." And somebody got to say, "You know what? Y'all going to vote for him. Or y'all roll with him because he know what the hell he's going. He knows what he's doing."
No, you missed the point. I didn't say that people weren't going to vote for him. I said they weren't excited about it.
Well, hold on, wait a minute. I'm excited about Joe. Am I wrong?
I didn't say that.
Hey, Mike,
you can be excited about.
You excited about Sleepy Joe, man?
Vic, I need you to know. Vic,
he used the language, Sleepy Joe.
Vic, I need you to know that anybody blue that they put up, Mike would pretend to be excited about, okay? Because Mike is not going to break rank. Mike is not going to break rank.
I was not excited about Bernie. I ain't never been for Bernie. Bernie ain't my man. Period. I wouldn't be excited. I'd be like, man, I don't know about that damn Bernie.
Independent. That's why. Bernie's an independent.
Bernie's not even a Democrat.
Well, hey, for whatever reason, something didn't feel right about him. There you go.
Let me get to a couple of these Facebook comments. At one point, Jeff said truth. Jeff, I'm not sure what you were saying truth about. But Carl said Slow Joe had a closed head wound a long time ago. He is well established as not controlling his statements or being touchy-feely. Joe ain't going to be the Democratic nominee. Watch. We don't have anybody else, Carl. And then Tanya said that many women haven't forgotten about Biden's role with Dr. Anita Hill and Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. And then Jeff said if Biden were about 20 years younger, people would be more excited about him. Jeff, that's a possibility. Jeff said if he were about 20 years younger,
20 years ago, listen. All right, so let me bring it back a little bit. Why did President Obama pick Joe Biden? You know why he picked Joe Biden? Because he was stable. He was an everyman, everyday working white guy from a working class background. He identified with some of his policies. He understood what was going on. And as to the Anita Hill thing, you could go to any boardroom and label that with a whole bunch of men, black and white, from back then. So we understand that. But at least one thing I can say about Joe Biden at the time, he didn't want Clarence Thomas on. That was why he went after that. He didn't want Clarence Thomas on. That was a fact. And he was over the nominee process, but he didn't want Clarence Thomas. I didn't want Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas is still there, and what do we have to gain from that?
Jeff also said that people worry about his health, which you can say that about either candidate, Jeff. Either candidate, people worry about their health. Either candidate, people worry about.
Yeah, hey, that's why. Hey, I'm gonna say this to Joe Biden. Stay in the basement, Joe. Relax. Don't go out.
Stay in the basement.
Stay in the basement, bro.
But I am going to say this, because the thing is that we do need to recognize that there are other opinions on the table, or other opinions out there, Mike. And I think it's unfair for you to pretend like everybody's excited about these two candidates when we know that's not the truth.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it again. And maybe this is the military in me. And sometimes black folks fall in line. Quit trying to fall in love. Y'all, I don't know y'all young women want to fall in love.
Oh my goodness. Fall in line.
I'm attacking women. All them older black women, they don't see that exciting man and walk around looking all great and wonderful, and ain't got a body in his brain and don't understand what's happening. They had him before, but when they get a little older, they say, "Well, I need to do like Joe. He's gonna show up to work on time. He's gonna take care of business. He's gonna pay the bills. And we need somebody to be on that." And y'all young millennials keep chasing after Jason Momoa and get you a Joe Biden.
Oh my goodness.
This is the thing. So I've just realized, Vic, what's wrong with Mike. I finally have it. Mike has the most outdated mindset and concept I've ever heard in my life. Mike needs to come into the new age. Mike needs to come into the new ages. Mike, you sound ridiculous. You sound sexist. You sound crazy. You sound crazy. Okay?
Explain to me why so many of my black sisters in South Carolina voted for Joe Biden.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump is motivating people. He's motivating the Democratic base more than anybody else. It's Donald Trump.
Who was?
Donald Trump is. That's
wait. Let me see if I got this right. Bernie was out there. Kamala was still in the race.
Let me help you out. Let me help you out. Let me help you out with why Joe got through. Let me help you out with why Joe got through over Biden, especially in the South. Because a lot of people have the same mindset that you have. A lot of people, they don't want the progressive stuff. Wait, stop. They don't want a lot of progression to happen. They're okay with the country being set back to zero to where they can finally sit at a countertop somewhere. They don't want to move on to the next step to where we have equal wages and equal pay. They want to move the meter slowly. And that's the very thing. I can't believe we're still having the same conversations Dr. King had of why do we keep waiting? What are we waiting for? If I keep waiting and waiting at your pace, then I'm going to be old and dead and everything will still be the same. This is crazy.
All right, so can I say this?
Because a lot of people didn't want to have the progressive mindset. Stop acting like he got through because it was just so exciting and it's so great. He got through because he's familiar. He is familiar.
That's true.
Well, let me say something to you. Once you hey, like they tell them, keep on living, young lady. You understand?
Anyway, this Facebook user said I was and I remain a Bernie supporter. He was the only candidate who has remained dedicated to eliminating income inequality throughout his career. Biden does not excite me. Trump and the Republicans revile me. I'll be voting for Biden.
Who said that?
They didn't give us a name. It just says Facebook.
Okay. Listen, and I'm with that Facebook user. In essence, and what I'm saying again is, let's talk about what you said about sitting at the lunch counter. Hold on.
You just said you were with that Facebook user who literally just said the same thing that I said that you're arguing against.
No, they also said they're voting for Biden. You said Biden's a problem.
No, I didn't say, Vic, at what point did I say Biden was a problem and don't vote for him? Mike, you got to use your listening ears. You're not using your listening ears.
Go ahead. I'm going to be quiet.
All I simply said was, thank you. I appreciate it. All I simply said was we had two candidates that people were not excited about. I didn't say, I'm not voting for Biden. I didn't say any of that. I said there's another perspective we need to examine.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Vic. Thank you, Vic. That's all I said was let's examine another perspective.
Absolutely.
And then I had to justify the fact that Biden came through the race with more other people running than in the history of the United States of America. And he came through. And he didn't come through with just other votes. He came through with black women votes. older
Sir,
black.
let me help you out.
Whoa.
You
Let me
want
show
to
you something.
forget. You seem to forget. You seem to forget that at the beginning he was trailing. It was lackluster. Nobody was interested. And then toward the end, I think what happened was a lot of people got fatigued with 80 million candidates in the race. And so they decided to just go with what's familiar. It's just easier. This was Obama's boy, so he can be our boy.
So
because in the beginning, Biden didn't have that support like that. And then you also got to keep in mind that a lot of people feel like from the very beginning, before Biden even threw his hat in the race, they feel like the media and the established Democrats were already pushing Biden on us before he even announced he was running.
Yeah, that is not true. I'm saying this again as a Kamala Harris supporter, as a person who was, my second choice was maybe Elizabeth Warren, because I want to see a woman get in there, right? I wasn't for the man thing. But like I said again, what you're missing about this whole thing is, and I've been on a lot of boards, and Minister Vic can talk about this, and other people can talk about this. At the end of the day, you got to count the votes.
Hey, let me help you out. Even the comment section, Mike.
Huh?
Even the comment section is saying what I'm saying. Well, Carl said you got dropped on your head.
I play basketball. Take the scoreboard. If he gets those votes, if y'all young people want to change things, get out and vote. It don't matter.
Okay, but Jeff said the same thing though.
Get out your entitlement.
Jeff said the same thing though. Jeff said he didn't have it, but he didn't have anything until a number of them dropped out. Come on now. Yeah. I'm not even trying to be funny. This is listen.
Hold on.
Listen.
They dropped out. Go ahead.
Mike, I feel like you're just so staunchly Democrat that you won't even examine other thought process, that you won't even give them.
All right, so hold on. Why let's talk about the votes. Joe Biden got more votes.
What'd you say?
Joe Biden got more votes.
Man, I'm about to pull up all those polls for you. Joe wasn't even really on the radar until people started dropping out.
He was on life support. His campaign was on life support.
He was.
Yeah. Let me say this. Joe Biden got a higher percentage of the black vote in South Carolina than President Obama
was his Iowa. South Carolina was Joe Biden's Iowa, right?
Hold on. South Carolina was
just as Iowa breathed new life in Obama's campaign. That's what happened with South Carolina for Joe Biden.
In 1988, South Carolina was Jesse Jackson's Iowa. And also, South Carolina was Pat Buchanan's Iowa. So we can talk about South Carolina as being a pivotal point because it's more representative of the country as a whole.
I don't know about that, though. I don't know about that. Buchanan became president. Jesse Jackson became president. Were one of them president? I missed it.
Joe Biden got 96% of the black vote in this last race. President Obama got 94.
Mm-hmm.
He beat President Obama out.
He got 96%. For what reason, Mike? For what reason?
Because black folks said, wait, look, black people who go and vote, not y'all young folks, because y'all didn't get out and vote.
You can stop saying not y'all young folks, because if you check my voting record, since I was 18, Scoreboard. I mean, what are we talking about here? If you're not going to get out and vote, you can talk all day. It's how America works. You got to get off your foot. Okay, but let me tell you, since that is your argument, let me tell you why I'm able to have an opinion. Because since I've been 18 years old, I voted. Not only have I voted, but you know very well I've run for office. So I can have an opinion all day, every day, if that's what you want to say. And I'm telling you, Mike, there's another perspective to consider.
Exactly.
All right, so
no doubt.
Let me ask you a question. What does your perspective bring to the table in this regard?
Are you serious right now? The fact that you got two presidential candidates that nobody's excited about. So my perspective brings to the table that if they are not excited about Biden, it doesn't matter how much they don't like Trump. We want the rest of them not going out to go vote and ended up with 4 more years of Trump. That's what my
Are you calling me a nobody? Are you calling all the black women in South Carolina nobodies? We are somebody. Do I got to do Jesse Jackson?
Mike, if If you want to, Mike, you can put on a shirt and say, I'm nobody and I matter. And you can give it to all them black women you talk about.
Can I use that?
Hashtag I'm nobody and I matter. I'll start it for you. I'll start it for you. Hey, Mike, you of all people know that Trump tactics not gonna work over here. I said what I said. I said what I said.
Let me say this.
But hey folks, can we say this though? Can we all agree that Joe Biden, he has the boomer vote, right? But he might not have the millennial vote right now.
Well, actually, let me tell you something. At this point,
they don't know how the process works.
No, stop it. Watch it. At this point, Joe Biden's got everybody's vote who doesn't want to vote for Trump. So we can cut that right there. Let's be clear. Everybody that doesn't want to vote, millennials too. Reluctantly, I think so. Reluctantly, millennials are going to go in there and they're going to go vote for Joe Biden because nobody wants to continue on the path we're on.
All right. So now my young Padawan, let me teach you something. As we going forward into war, you don't beat up your own general. You get behind your general, you fall in line.
We're not beating him up. Mike, the crazy part is you make it seem like, Mike, I feel like this just seems like a lot of shut up and take it. I just don't like it. It feels like you are ready to give weight. It feels like you're ready to give him the same authority. It feels like you're ready to give him the same authority that a lot of Republicans have given Trump. It feels like you're ready to say, no matter what, just because we don't want him or them, you're right. And that's wrong.
So here's what I'm ready to say. At some point in time, you got to put a game plan together, and you got to go out and win. When I play basketball on every team I'm on, sometimes I didn't like the captain. Sometimes I didn't like the coach, but we won by saying, hey, man, y'all quit talking and arguing amongst each other. Let's get this win.
I hear you. I hear what you're saying. And maybe you missed the part.
We got to get this win. But
maybe you missed the part where I said, Vic, did I not say that we were still going to go vote for him, but we got some issues?
Yeah.
Is that not what I've been saying?
Let's address your issues.
Absolutely.
Hey, like I said, me and you agree on these issues. We agree.
Do we?
What were you doing? Hey, listen.
Let me read a couple of these comments for you, Mike. Let me read a couple of these comments for you. Jeff said that Amy Klobuchar is another one to consider for VP. Carl said that Mike Harris, the flag bearer for the Democrats, black give Biden the nod for the presidential nominee to protect Obama's legacy. A Facebook user said, hold on. A Facebook user said, my beloved Democratic Party has yet come to the realization that the nation is moving away from corporatism towards wider equality. Biden is still steeped in corporatism. The rest of us are still going to have to wait until another administration to see real progress. That said, we all know that Trump and Moscow Mitch must be defeated. Stacey Abrams must be VP. Jeff said, I agree with her, as in I agree with Candace. Dondre said strategy over feelings, which means Dondre agrees with Mike. And Tracy said, hold up.
Hold up. Tracy said, hold up.
What up, T? What the baby's doing?
Listen.
So let me say this to you.
No way, because the reality is, Mike. The reality is, you are so steep in partisan politics that you can hear that I'm saying to you that it's not that I'm saying, and you better believe my vote is me. My vote is me falling in line, but I have some issues. I have some concern.
Yeah,
there are some things I don't like. And I'm going to tell you up front so that when you get in office, you already know I'm coming for you because I don't like certain stuff. So
hold on, wait a minute. Let me say this. The problem we have here is the problem we have with Hillary, right? So people started saying, well, I don't know if I like her. She don't excite me. Hey, Vic,
hold on. Let's hear from Vic real quick. Vic, am I tripping or does he keep twisting what I'm clearly saying?
Oh, he's certainly doing that now. Mike is a debater, right? Mike is going to take every angle he could possibly find to come up with to argue his point.
I'm not getting ready to let Mike twist what I'm saying because I'm making it clear what I'm saying.
What are you saying?
No, I said it like 5 times, Mike. I told you put your listening ears on.
So let me address it. Let me address a couple things. Let's talk about Obama's legacy. You doggone right. Wait a minute now. You doggone right. I'm about protecting Obama's legacy. You have a man in there right now who is trying to destroy his legacy. And let me say this to everybody. Some people say this, Obama ain't done nothing for black folks. He ain't did nothing for us. And if you want to talk like that, I'm cool with that to a certain extent. But I've learned this in life, and this comes from age. Sometimes a person keeping people off your butt is good enough for them to be in the point.
The thing, though, I don't subscribe to that thought process that Obama didn't do anything for black people. I feel like that's, to me, that's completely crazy. That's completely crazy for people to say Obama didn't do anything for black people. Because I got several examples that is like that will completely show you different from what you're saying. So I don't subscribe to that. I was reading a comment from a Facebook user about the Obama protecting Obama's legacy. So
do you think it's important to protect Obama's legacy?
You want to know what the funny part is? The funny part is, in Trump trying to ruin Obama's legacy, he's protecting it. He's making it even more clear. Wait, listen, hold up. He's making it even more obvious of all the things that Obama truly did for America. Anybody with common sense can see all of the things that he's doing, trying to be anti-Obama. I mean, like you even pointed out, we had a whole pandemic team in place thanks to President Obama. And now that pandemic team is gone, we see what the country looks like when you remove measurements that are put in place to help you, all because what? Somebody that you didn't like put them in place?
Let me jump in here, Mike, real quick. Let me jump in here right quick. One of your callers, Candace, made a point, I think, that we shouldn't just rush by. One of the viewers made reference to corporatism, what I would refer to as neoliberalism, right? That's an important point because there are people who would suggest that Biden is neoliberal, right? We know Trump is neoliberal to the nth degree. And what does that look like? What does neoliberalism look like? It's anti-union, it's anti-social safety net, it's extremely pro-big business and so forth. So what will the nation look like if we have a neoliberal president in the White House?
Well, first of all, I take maybe you're the professor here, so correct me on the neoliberal aspect. Are you saying he's part liberal or not really liberal or liberal in vision only?
He's a corporatist. He's a corporatist. That's what neoliberalism makes reference to. It's extremely big business.
This is where we're going to have a big break. I've realized also in America that I live in a capitalistic society. This is a capitalistic country.
Crony capitalism is the order of the day right now, Mike. Crony capitalism, not just capitalism, capitalism on steroids.
I agree with you. And everybody I know wants to get that big house and that big boat and wants to get into that position. Now, the problem is, how do we all move a rising tide, lifting our boats? Do we get health care? Do we get Social Security? Do we make sure we got a post office and internet in your home? But see, here's what we're not reflecting on. 4 more. You talk about Obama's legacy. 4 more years of Trump, and you're going to have a kleptocracy in full swing.
Yeah,
and they're going to be the victors. They're going to be the victors. And once they become the victors, they get to write the legacy going forward. People will forget about what Obama did, and he'll be labeled a person who never did anything for black folks. It's just like, call it the OJ aspect. See, I lived through the OJ trial. And when I got done, I was like, man, that dude didn't do it. But even today, young blacks who didn't live through the OJ trial are thinking, you know what? OJ did it. Because people have said it so much longer, over so many years, it becomes the norm. And even to say something different from that, become a heretic.
But Mike, you're proving my point, right? You're proving my point also. I agree with you about Trump, about the kleptocracy and so forth. However, in terms of corporatism, we still haven't slayed that dragon. That dragon, to be honest with you, let's be honest here with each other, right? The Democratic Party and the Republican Party both practice corporatism. They're both neoliberal parties right now.
Hey, I
The
need to get
neoliberal
in here.
sector of
I
the
need to
Republican
get in
Party
here
and the
with
Democratic Party is running over these parties right now.
I need to get in here with these comments real
quick. It's
quick.
the guiding philosophy in the Washington Beltway.
I need to get in here with these comments real quick. Dondre said, I'm still going to hold Biden accountable. Tracy said, everyone should have concerns. We have to stop sleepwalking, not just at the national level, but also at the local level as well. Jeff said, Trump has to reverse everything Obama did, no question about it. Jeff also said, you have a Trump without all of the foolishness. Tanya said, Republicans do fall in line, but generally Democrats will fall in line for the sake of the party's agenda, which is what Republicans count on.
Yeah, I tend to agree with what Tanya said. And I'm trying to figure the angle that Jeff's coming from. Like I said, I don't want it to be a perspective when we're beating up our candidate ourselves. We don't have to wait for the Republicans to do it.
If
we
Joe
beat them
can't
up
handle this, Joe can't handle Trump, Mike. Because let me tell you something. If Joe doesn't toughen up, look. Trump will beat Biden in the debate from pillar to post. Trust me on this one.
No, he won't. See, because what we have to
hold on, Mike. You're saying that we gotta be nice. We gotta be nice and lovey-dovey.
No,
to Joe Biden.
I'm not saying that.
Politics is rough and tumble. If Joe Biden ain't ready for that, he ain't gonna be ready for that come November.
Look, he'll be ready for that. I think what he can do.
Let me tell you what it really is. Hey Vic, let me tell you what it really is. The reality is that Mike is clear that people are not as excited about Biden as he's trying to put on, and so he's trying to temper any conversation about that to make it seem like, to stop anybody that might be on the fence and might go vote for Trump. I see what you're doing there. I understand you, blue to your tree. I got you. You blue to the core. I got it. You want to temper anything that seems like an uprising that will take votes. I got you.
Guilty. Officer. So I agree with you. Guilty as charged. I am trying to make sure we tap this down because I saw with Hillary's race, people were talking about. They had a whispering campaign. They had a whispering campaign about Hillary all day long, and she ended up losing by just a few votes. The black folks are like, listen, elections are all about percentages, small, tiny percentages. This is why Kwame Kilpatrick is getting let out. Because Trump thinks that we're stupid enough as black folks, and we do it sometimes. We start beating up on our own. Michael Jordan ain't good. Who's better, Kobe or Michael?
You know what? I gotta say this. I gotta say this. Mike, I gotta say this. Candace, I gotta say this. Why is Kilpatrick being let out right now?
Because
in other words, why didn't Obama? I'm gonna say it. Why didn't Obama commute his sentence?
Well, first of all,
I'm not a Trumpster, but I think it's a legitimate question to raise because 28 years was an exorbitant sentence.
I'm gonna tell you why.
Are you trying to get somebody to say because Obama had the black vote on his own and Trump needs to get the black vote with Kwame? Is that what you're trying to get Mike to say? Is that what you're trying to get?
I'm gonna tell you why. As a black person in corporatist, many times when we're in those particular positions, we don't have the freedom to do what a lot of white folks in those certain positions do.
You know what?
All right? So
Mike, I get that. But sometimes he was too cautious. I get that, Mike, but sometimes he was too cautious, man.
Obama came and defended two people that I remember distinctly. He defended Trayvon Martin, which was an easy defense, and people still raking him. Leaving somebody black.
But that wasn't my question, though, Mike. I didn't bring up Trayvon Martin, right? Although I love him and his family, I'm talking about Kwame Kilpatrick. Because there was a groundswell movement in this area for Obama to let him go.
President Obama defended Henry Louis Gates, who is
We're not talking about Henry Louis Gates. I'm talking about Kwame Kilpatrick.
I'm getting to that. Listen, he got raked over the coals for defending black folks who anybody would be in their right mind would be easily understanding to be able to defend, right? You damn Skippy, you don't need to be letting out Kwame. You don't need that nonsense.
Would that have tarnished Obama's legacy? See, the one thing I can say about Trump is that he don't care what nobody thinks, man. And I wish Obama had a little bit more of that, to be honest with you.
I'm gonna say it again. A black man,
if he would have commuted Kwame's sentence, his sentence, yes, it would not have tarnished Obama's legacy.
Yes, it would have.
No, it
yes,
wouldn't.
It would have.
No, it wouldn't. Yes, no, according to who? According to who, Mike? According to who?
Listen. According to when you talk about a black man for the next 50
years, his base wouldn't have been behind him.
No,
Obama's base wouldn't have been behind him.
There's a lot. Listen to me. There's a lot of black people right now who can't stand Kwame Kilpatrick, and a lot of older ones and younger ones would have said, "What is that all about?"
What's crazy though? You want to know what's crazy? Is Mike, while I understand what you're saying, I get what Vic is saying too, in the simple fact that look at all of the people that have just recently been let out that literally pled guilty to lying and pled guilty to all of these charges. These are Trump's boys, and they have been let out.
That's right.
And nobody is questioning, is that going to tarnish Trump's legacy? Exactly. So why do we keep playing that game? Why do we keep playing that game? Why do we keep playing that game?
Yeah. So let me say this. A lot of things happen in Kwame's circle of this. Because the Trump swamp cesspool is so nasty, people decide, you know what, can you leave that a brother out? Good Lord. That's what people take Kwame out. We see, doggone it, man. You doing this with these white folks, you let your boy, you defending. Trump is easy. He ain't got no reputation to tarnish. It's already tarnished. He's easy to talk about. So of course he can let Kwame out, which is a wonderful thing. I think okay. Wow. I'm okay with it. But I know a lot of older blacks who would have been raking Obama over the coals.
No, I do agree with the fact that Obama's legacy would have withstood him letting Kwame out. It wouldn't have.
That's hindsight is 2020. Hindsight is 2020. And it's easy for us.
No, Mike. Mike, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I do see your point.
Hey, look, Obama's legacy. Let's say he would have cut somebody out like Trump or called people names like Trump. We would still be talking about what he did.
I get what you're saying, Mike. I get your point.
Okay, I'm just saying. Look,
I get your point because Trump men like him enjoy a leniency that we don't. I get that, but sometimes you gotta say, man, bump that. I'm doing this because I'm the man.
I think this is the reality, though. This is the reality, though, and this is why we don't progress in America because of what you're saying, Mike. The thing is, at some point, we got to say one of two things to privilege. Either one, you are no longer privileged, or two, you gonna give me the privilege with you. That's what has to happen. We keep playing this game and we keep not moving forward. I don't understand how Martin Luther King and all those guys. How many decades ago was that? And it seems like all we're doing is regressing. We're regressing. And the thing that I got to ask myself is, what kind of future are we leaving the children that are coming up behind us? Why do we got to keep telling them, go ahead, shuck and jive and keep playing it this way? At some point, you got to do what you're going to do. The thing that you don't understand is the people that are not with you, or the people that are only with you to applaud you, they're only going to be with you to applaud you anyway. The people that are really not with you, they're not going to be really with you anyway. The people that have your back are going to have your back. And sometimes, especially in leadership, you got to know, you got to fall on the sword and make the sacrifice to make progress. That's the reality of leadership.
And so this gets to a point about Kwame Kilpatrick ain't worth the sacrifice. Real simple.
Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, there you go. There you go. Okay.
Kwame's a child of privilege.
I disagree, man.
Privilege by doing something wrong and lying about it because he was privileged. This is the problem with
we have a two-tier legal system also. Not only does this work in education, but in the legal field, we have a two-tier system.
Let me get a couple of these comments because...
But let me get back to Kwame with Kwame's problem is what you're addressing right now, Candace. Why can't we do what they do? We should be doing what they do. Kwame
I can name a couple people in your party, Mike.
That's not what I said, Mike. What do you hear when
Mike,
I
Mike, I can name a couple people in your party, man, that are also backstroking in the swamp.
Mike, what do you hear when I talk? That's not what I said. I said if we're going to make progress, we're going to make true progress. I didn't say we could all become criminals. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't say that.
This ain't New Jack City up in here. We ain't need no crime.
Let me read these comments really quickly, though. I got to read these comments because we're going to have to wrap up here shortly. I got to read these comments. A Facebook user said Trump is an a-hole through and through. He's an evil lunatic, and those are his good points. You are all making good points. At day's end, we must defeat the Republicans as well. At all levels. Tracy said we vote and walk away like that is the end of the process. Tracy, I agree. President Obama can't move a nation alone. As soon as he makes a decision that we don't like, we throw him to the wolves. Thank you, Tracy. Yet the average person doesn't have a list of anything they've courageously done in their community. Thank you, Tracy. President Trump's base supports him whether he does something right or wrong. Thank you, Tracy. There's the difference. Tracy also said they would block President Obama when he would make any controversial moves. He had little support. Tracy, thank you, Tracy.
Great points, Tracy. But I think Obama would have withstood that, though.
Thank you, Tracy.
Great points made by Tracy, but I think Obama would have withstood that.
But this is the thing, though, and I know we're not allowed to say his name on the internet because he's not allowed to be on the internet anymore. But Farrakhan had a point when he said, "Black folks kill y'all leaders. Y'all do. Y'all do. Y'all massacre. Y'all take them out." Listen. White people don't have to kill your leaders because you take them out in the middle of the street and hang them yourselves. You do.
This is my point. Let me say this. Even when Obama was running at first, a lot of people were like, man, he can't win. But he went to South Carolina and people were like, all right then, brother Roll, we with you.
I remember that.
And so it's the same thing with Biden. We're like, man, he can't win. He ain't this. Okay? And let me say this again. I'm going to say it again. My choice was Kamala Harris. That was my choice at first. I thought she was fire. She lit into Biden in the beginning. She was doing her thing, but she wasn't able to hold on because of the same things she's talking about right now. Our own people knocked her over the coals talking about these criminal laws that she passed in Southern California when she was a prosecutor. That's what they paid to do, put people in jail. But
I guess the argument there is the same that it has been for Joe Biden. We're not going to give Kamala that pass either. But the same thing, you got to understand, Jeff said that, Trump is going to be a southpaw during the debates. So the same thing is Kamala, and that was your choice. So if that was the case, I wish Kamala would have figured out a way to withstand that, if that is the case. Because the thing is, people are going to talk about you. They're going to drag your name. They're going to dog you. They're going to bring up your record if you have one. That means you've been working. And then two, they're going to try to make you look however to get rid of you. The thing is, you have to figure out how do you withstand that? How do you overcome that?
But the first thing we do is don't throw them to the wolves. We get behind them, we support them, and we push them. So I'm with you pushing Biden, but at the same time, let's not talk about what he ain't doing. Let's talk about what he needs to be doing.
But the point is, you even made the point though, even just now with Kamala and saying Kamala was your choice. If Kamala got pressed about her decisions and her actions, why can't Joe be pressed about his decision and his actions? Only because, and I already have the answer to that, blue to the core. The answer is because we're at the end of the game. We're at the home stretch and you need this win. And so now you're going to be dismissive of things that you need to check before he gets sworn in. Because he needs to know once he gets sworn in, you can't keep talking like this.
Hey, y'all, can I pose a question? Can I pose a quick question? Let me pose this quick question, Mike. And Candace, throughout all our discussion, where's our agenda? Where's the black agenda?
There you go.
Where's the agenda?
There's never an agenda. There's never an agenda. Hold on real quick. We got some comments that said Kwame was wrong as two left shoes. Glad he has an opportunity to get out in less than 20 years as others weren't penalized the same. Somebody else said that, Carl's back, Mike. Carl said, Mike, do you like Kamala for her last name or her big eyes? Jeff said, just like the Obama Library was supposed to be dedicated next year, yet the ground has never even been broken because of infighting in Chicago. Such a shame.
Well, I don't know. Jeff may have a point. I haven't heard a whole bunch of that, but a lot of it is like we're talking about here. We are infighting, and we don't need to be infighting. But let me say this too, and we got to get away from this point too. We got to quit talking about who we love and falling in love with people, and that's what the thing happened with Kamala. I love Kamala, but she wasn't a candidate. Let's move forward. Look, Bill Clinton went from Arkansas eating, talking about eating fried chicken and playing the saxophone. There's a whole bunch of folks would have said he ain't this and that, but there were people out there calling him the first black president. How crazy was that? How crazy was that?
I want to get this last comment in. I want to get this last comment in before we wrap up. I want to get this last comment in. Tracy, you have been on point with your comments, Tracy. Tracy said the two parties operate differently. One operates with an unorganized meekness, trying to play by the rule book. The other party will recreate the rules to fit their agenda. One is playing chess, the other is playing checkers. The checkers players will always be at a disadvantage.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And that's my point. We should be playing chess. The chess move is the chess move is
Mike said, which brings me back to my point. Don't criticize anybody.
There you go. Fall in line.
It's a bad strategy to knock down your candidate. That's bad strategy. Checkers. We keep talking about checkers. We're getting back to Jeff's point in Chicago. Let's play chess. What are we trying to accomplish? To get the presidency, right? What are we trying to accomplish? To get people in there to vote.
Right.
We need to make sure we cover that. Stop talking checkers games and talking about we need to do
something though, Mike. Mike, can I ask you something? Mike, can I ask you something though?
Absolutely.
Real quick question, Mike. Because you keep saying, don't knock down your candidate, don't do XYZ, don't do ABC. But my thing is, it almost seems like, because again, he's had a lot of things where he's misspoken. So it's almost like you're okay with him being, and you've had to explain the same way Trump supporters have had to explain for Trump. So my thing is, it almost seems like you're okay with it being on the other foot as long as the shoe is blue. I'm confused.
All right. So let me explain this so you understand it now. And so let me explain this. They're fighting dirty. And the dirtiness is, I don't care what my man say, I'm going to make him win. Now, I've been in basketball games where the referees wasn't calling fouls. And you know what I started doing? I started fouling too. You better call it on both sides, but they not on both sides. So why should I be arguing when my boy say something stupid? Act like it wasn't said. He can say nothing. And I'm trying to win by any crook or means and get him in the office. We need to win. Let's forget all the nonsense. The win is about what it is. So when you talk about weakness,
do you realize when you do that? Do you realize when you do that? It's almost like when it's almost like
he's not gonna be perfect. But let's act like he is, so we gotta get the win.
But do you realize when you do that? When you do that, it's almost like being in an abusive situation. You keep acting like somebody not stalking you in your eye. They're gonna go to stalking you in your mouth and in your nose. You realize
what it is I'm not in an abusive situation. I got a good husband at home. He doesn't go to business. I'm not gonna listen to these other folks talking about how he's a little fat around the stomach. I ain't gonna talk about these. Let these people tell me he ain't no good to me. I got a good husband. Let's stick with it, make it happen.
Candace.
Yes.
I think that we need to go back to the point that we began with as it relates to the inauguration of our show, right? It goes back to we the people.
Thank you,
right?
Vic.
It goes back to the people.
Thank you, Vic.
We need to get away from this hero worship, right?
Thank you, Vic.
It's not about the hero syndrome.
How about this? Can we all agree?
He's a hero, right? Nobody, I'm not calling Biden a hero.
No, that's my opinion. That's my opinion, Mike.
No, can we all agree? Listen, let me explain something to you. Mike, the only perspective Mike wants to hear is in November, we're voting for Biden and we're going to be quiet until then. That's all Mike wants us to say. He doesn't want anything else.
On November 4th, you can rake him over the coals. But until then, we got to win. Come on.
All right.
Let's put in their office first. We got to play dirty. We got to play that game. That ain't tough.
We want to thank everyone for tuning in.
Here.
We want to thank everyone for tuning in to Whose Opinion Is It Anyway? We will be back here next week, Friday, 5 to 6 p.m. We want to thank everybody that is blue, no matter who. Go ahead, Mike. But no, thank you for tuning in to Whose Opinion Is It Anyway with Candace
and Victor
and special guests.
Special guest. What up, Trey Fire? What up, Jeff? What's up, Carl? We'll see you next week.
I'm gonna start calling
No,
Mike
go ahead and cut it off because Mike didn't even have sense enough to just say his name. Thank you. Bye-bye.